Hi, this is Jeremy Kellett, Director of Recruiting here at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. This is the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family, and this is episode 145. And on today's episode, we got a little surprise for you. We are going to talk to the safety department. Now, before you turn me off because of the safety department, we've actually got the ladies from the safety department here, so this is going to be real interesting, and we're going to cover a lot of things in this episode. We've got Ashley, Amanda, and Vivian here with us, and we're going to talk about, what their responsibilities are in the safety department, maybe some of the common mistakes they see every day, give you some feedback on things that the owner-operators here could change that might help the safety department, and just how important some of this stuff is. I think it's going to be great. We're covering a lot of that stuff here in just a minute, but first, let me give you an Oakley update sponsored by Aero Truck Sales. Aero Truck Sales has been in business for over 60 years and a longtime partner of Oakley Trucking and the Oakley Podcast. Trey Visor and Keith Wilson do a great job at putting you in the right truck to fit your needs and our needs here at Oakley. They carry all makes and models to choose from with on-site financing through transport funding. So whether you are a seasoned owner-operator or a first-time buyer, be sure to contact Keith Wilson at Aero Truck Sales at 573-216-6047 and tell him you heard it on the Oakley Podcast. So the update today, a couple things real quick. One is I sent everybody an email out a week or two ago. We actually got a new pricing from Pilot Flying J Truck Stops, and they have really stepped up to give us all Oakley owner-operators a good discount. And it's cost plus, where it used to didn't be like that. It's different in different states, so now it's more of a blanket. They're kind of stepping up with Loves and TA Petro and giving us an excellent fuel discount. So make sure you check TransFlow and you look at all the truck stops now, because they're trying to compete quite a bit. It's actually a little bit lower in Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Texas have actually got a little bit better deal than the rest of the states. So keep that in mind. Anyway, the point of it is make sure you check it out, the discounts. Also, I had a email from a customer on one of our owner-operators, and I'll just read it here. Sean at McBay, which is our customer out of Davis, Oklahoma, wanted to compliment Monica Boykin that she loaded there last week. She was very polite, knew her gauges, and seemed like she had been trained on her gauges well. So congratulations, Monica. We appreciate you doing the right thing and representing Oakley well. Also, the last thing, this is when this comes out, this is the week, maybe before, 2 weeks before the Mid-America Truck Show. And I know I've been talking a lot about that on the podcast, but it's important. We're going to have a big presence at Louisville, Kentucky, the Mid-America Truck Show, and we want everybody to come show up. We're going to have some podcast recording going on there that's going to be fun. And it's just, if you've never experienced the Louisville Mid-America Truck Show in Louisville, Kentucky, you need to experience it. It's kind of like if you've never ridden in a cab in New York City, you've got to do this, because you just got to check it out. It's a little overwhelming, but check that out. It's coming up, so good stuff. Now, let's get started with our safety talk. I appreciate you ladies joining me for this, your podcast debut.
It is.
Yes, thank you for the invite.
Yeah, so I got Vivian Boudreaux, Amanda Hadfield, and Ashley Rabun here joining me, and they all work in the safety department, and we're going to talk a little bit about their responsibilities. But before we do, I always like to give a little introduction of yourselves and how long you've been here, and kind of what you do, family, hobbies, because I always like to include that because it helps get to know you in the beginning of the episode. So we'll start with Vivian. Vivian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been with Oakley for almost over 40 years, on and off. So I've been here a long time from the very beginning.
Family?
Family.
That's good.
I've got 2 sons. One is just retiring from the Army this year, so I'm real proud of him.
I think I remember when he started in the Army.
That's a long time ago.
I know it.
I know. Time flies. So he's getting ready to retire. He's got his own family, and we've got another adult son here in Conway, special needs. And hobbies, we just bought 60 acres a couple of years ago up on Billy Goat Mountain Road.
Nice.
And that's our hobby. I mean, land.
Taking care of that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Playing on our playground.
Vivian we were talking just a second ago. She's been here a long time, and we were telling how she trained me to do decals. She was the first decal lady we ever had, and it was a little machine. We had it on a separate desk there behind us, and she showed me how to make unit numbers and VIN numbers that put on the trucks, and then and we had a few colors they could choose from to put the
like
the
9,
sign.
maybe 9 colors, something like that. It's nothing like it is now.
It was wow, that was a long time ago, Vivian.
Yeah, and I was the only one. This is a different podcast, but I was the only one in the office when I started. Just think about that.
Wow. Yeah, because you were there with, I guess, Benny.
There were 3 of us.
Who were they?
Well, Mike Fisher, David Choate, and
Okay.
I was the only one in the office in North Little Rock.
Wow.
Yeah, so look at it now.
You've hung in there. Yeah, look at what we're doing now.
It's amazing.
Okay, good. Well, how about Amanda? Let's tell us about Amanda.
About Amanda. I've been here for about almost a year and a half, a year in safety. I still work on incidents, but that's what I originally worked on before I moved over to safety. I wanted a little bit more to do and a little bit more upbeat.
Good.
And I'm enjoying every minute of it. These guys definitely keep you on your toes.
Mm-hmm. Family?
Family, I'm not married, but I've been with my boyfriend for about a year. I have my dad and my sister and brother and their families.
Good.
And Mom passed away 5 years ago, but Dad is happily with someone now. We accept her.
Good.
We love her. She's an awesome lady.
What do you do on the weekends, Amanda?
Oh, mostly, well, I don't have a washer and dryer in my apartment, so I have to take my washer, all my washing to my boyfriend's house, and he gratefully let me use it every weekend so I could have some clean clothes.
Well, if that's a hobby, I guess so.
It's not much of a hobby, it's just got to do it.
Yeah,
Everything's too expensive right now.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good stuff. What about you, Miss Ashley? I know you're looking forward to doing this.
Absolutely. So I've been with Oakley. This will be my 4th year here. I've only ever been in the safety department, and I love it. I've been married to my husband for almost 6 years. We don't have any kids, but I will say this kind of goes into the hobbies. We kind of quit all of our hobbies because for the last year and a half, we have been working on trying to get our home open to start the adoption process.
Oh, good.
And 1st of February, they gave us the okay that we were open. So now we can follow through and, start that process and hopefully get a kid in our home.
Good
and
for you.
give them
That's a hard process.
It is. So hopefully once we get all that rolling again and get a child in our home that we can give a home to and love and all that stuff, we can start picking back up on the hobbies. So
that is fantastic. That takes a lot to do that right there.
It really does, more than I expected, absolutely.
See, now that's what our listeners need to understand. You girls are just real people too. I mean, got life, got jobs, got things to do. It's
And that's a good point. It's our job. So when they get upset with us for calling and saying, you're not doing your logs right or something like that, we're just doing what we're told to do.
Yeah,
Don't
surely.
get mad at me for trying to help you out.
We'd let you do whatever you want to do sometimes.
Got responsibilities. Well, let's start with that and talk about being DOT compliant. I mean, that takes it takes a team effort from you guys, of course, but it takes a team effort from the truck driver too.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the responsibilities you're responsible for and concerning DOT compliant? Start with anybody.
Physicals, med certs, TWIC cards, CDLs, maintenance on the truck, you know, everything on the driver, the truck, the trailer.
All of it.
Yeah.
So what specifically are you responsible for, Vivian?
Probably the biggest thing I do is the drug test, the random drug test, the pre-employment. I do the bookkeeping on that. I do the med certs, the physical, the part. Ashley usually and Allison brings the physical in, you know, make sure it's correct and everything. And we submit it to the state. I make sure that the state has them updated, you know, put the physical on their driving record, run their driving records annually.
Okay.
So.
Talking about the physicals, do you get any physicals that are wrong? You get any?
Yes.
So what do you mean?
Yes.
What's wrong with them?
So the card could be marked wrong, which could in turn delay the driver getting updated with the state, therefore making them sit longer than they had originally planned. That's why it's kind of important to not wait till the last minute to get it done, to make sure that everything is good with your card, that the state has you updated correctly, that if you get pulled over by DOT, they're not going to find that you've been misupdated or anything like that. So
that, not to interrupt, Ashley,
Yeah.
so when they renew their physical,
Mhm.
they send it into you look at it, or you and Vivian,
Mhm.
and then you have to submit it to the state?
If it's a state that we can submit it to, I don't mind one bit doing that to save drivers a trip to the DMV. But with that being said, not all states update the same way or the same time. Some states are a little farther behind. Some states will update you in 10 minutes. So the longer you wait to get your physical done to your current expiration date, the more we're going to recommend that you actually walk it into the DMV to get updated instantly. So.
And
Because
technically, it is the driver's responsibility. We just do it for them. It's easy for us, you know.
Right.
We
Yes.
we know how to do it for most states. Every state's different, you know.
Mhm.
All the drivers have to remember that. But
Is there still one walk-in state? No?
Missouri.
Missouri, you have to walk it in.
Mhm.
The driver has to actually take it to the
Yeah.
DMV and get it, and it's got to be certified, because
Right.
when you submit it to the state, then you run an MVR, day or two later, to make sure it says
That the
certified, and it's got the
Right.
correct date, expiration date
Right.
on there.
Yes.
That they're non-accepted interstate, that their interstate is their driving type, and that they have the new physical on the driving record. And that's the other thing. States have 10 days, 10 business days legally to update it. So that's another, you know, you want to get that in before minimum 10 days.
Yeah.
Most of them don't take that long, but
That's their standard for,
yeah, that's
updating
that's
us
the
to-
DOT regulation.
Mhm.
They have 10 business days. So.
Yeah. We've had some guys sit around here and wait for it to get,
Till the day of.
Mhm.
And the other thing the driver can do on that card is look at it themselves. It's real simple, real basic. Make sure that they put all the information in, that they check that little CDL box, and that they're marked interstate. Those are the big things that.
because that's what the doctor does.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they do it wrong.
So, yes, and then something else that kind of falls in line with that is when you go in to get a DOT physical, if it's not someone that you have used every year or every 2 years to get your physical, you need to make sure that they're on the FMCSA National Registry. If they are not on the registry, then they're not recognized as.
And we haven't had any of those, though, have we? We
Yeah,
have?
we had one yesterday. We looked it up and kind of find out that doctor was no longer on the registry. So this driver had to go back and get
Oh,
everything
no.
redone and all that kind of stuff. So that's another reason.
Did the doctor put their registry number on there?
Yes,
But they had expired.
Yes. So another reason why it might be a good idea to get it done a little early, so we could catch something like that, and it's
There's
not
several things that
delaying.
can go
There,
wrong.
yeah, there's always something that can
It's
go
like
wrong.
these-
Moral of the story is get it done. Don't wait till the last week to get your physical.
Yeah.
Unless you
Yes.
want to be sitting,
Well, unless
you
you
know,
want- yeah.
midnight will shut you down.
Yeah,
or
unless you want-
you're sitting there until.
Yes.
Yeah, the details, I mean, but that's part of it. I mean, that's what you got to do for sure. How about Amanda? What about you? What are you responsible for?
What am I responsible for? I work a lot with the maintenance reports, and I've been also making sure those guys turn in trailer inspection sheets because a lot of them are not doing that. So it's whenever they pick up or drop off a trailer, they need to fill one out and send it through TransFlow so we can keep up with what's going on with the trailers.
Okay. So every time they drop one.
And every time they pick one up, they need to fill that out and TransFlow it in.
So, okay, 2 different sheets. The one I just dropped, I need to fill out a sheet.
And you
the
can
one I
even
picked
write
up.
on there, hey, this is the one I picked up and this is the one I dropped off.
Okay. And then they TransFlow that in, and not meant you're not getting all that.
There are some trailers that haven't been updated in a long time because I can go into workflow and look at that and there's nothing there for it.
Is it? And I mean, what's the main purpose of that? The repairs and the.
It's not only to keep record of the repairs that were done on the trailer, but it also helps to avoid being charged for the trailer damage and it's getting charged to the correct person. Because if you don't fill one out and there's damage and you're the one who drops it and pulls that in that shop, then chances are they're going to put your name on it.
Yeah. So it's a great idea to do a walk around, fill it out correctly, and send it in. That way we've got record knowing that when you drop the trailer, it's in good shape, or here's what's wrong with it. And, yeah, not
like
charge you something
A
that
rental
we shouldn't.
car.
Yeah, yeah.
You go through and do that when you pick it up, and
Right.
so
Yeah.
you're not responsible for somebody else's
Right.
damage.
Now, y'all were talking about calling the drivers earlier and them being mad. What is that? What are you calling them about?
Okay, let me just say this real quick. We all of us have gotten this response. Hi, so-and-so, this is Vivian from Oakley Trucking in the safety department. What did I do now?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. So
Yeah.
every time.
Of course.
So,
Because they typically did something wrong,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
But
But you
not
know,
always true.
no, I will
No.
say there are times when I know myself and Allison, we've called drivers just to say thank you. Your stuff looks good. We don't want everyone to always think that a call from safety is bad. We want to recognize the drivers that do their stuff correctly. It helps us. Right, one less phone call we have to make. We like making good phone calls. I don't like to call a driver and say, hey, I noticed this was wrong, and then, get that same response. Well, they don't like to hear from the safety department. It's not always a bad phone call.
So what about since we mentioned maintenance reports? Let's go with that for a minute and see
I love
what.
those phone calls because when I call them and say, what did I do wrong on my maintenance report? They're like, oh, wait, no, I saw what it is. I'm going to fix it and send it right back to you.
So are you looking at them? I mean, pretty quick when they send them in.
We're
I mean, are
look-
they kind of are they a week or two or?
No, it just depends. So we got to make sure that they have their truck number on there, that the month is on there. We don't put an actual day when we fill it out because we're going to call and tell you to take that off. That your mileage is on there, that you've checked okay on all those boxes. There's a description for the brakes. You can write check daily, adjusted as needed. And I know another one we get a lot is with disc brakes. Well, I can't do anything with those. Well, then just say visual check. And then number one, make sure you sign it, because if you don't sign it, that's another reason why we're calling you. The receipts are important, so if you also do any repairs on your truck, if you do them yourself and you just go buy something from Walmart or Napa or whatever, you still need to turn that receipt in.
Just scan anything you did to the truck that whole month.
Yeah, for
Yes.
that whole
Mechanical
month,
wise.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. For us to keep up with it.
What are I mean, I know DOT requires a monthly maintenance report, but I mean, what are the DOT requirements? I mean, just that we have one of those every month on the driver and that we have the receipts to prove it? Do y'all know? Is that?
We have to have maintenance. We have to be able to provide that the maintenance of the
Kind
truck
of like the maintenance
has been-
records.
The preventive
been
maintenance.
done.
Preventative
Yeah.
maintenance, yes.
Preventative maintenance.
Okay, so we have to have that. I mean, because I get, the maintenance report, the monthly maintenance report can come up in a situation when there's a accident.
Yes.
Yes.
That's probably one of the things that they look at is when's the last time brakes have been put on this truck. or
Tires.
tires or something like that. So it's just another way of covering yourself as a truck driver and as a company, having these forms and receipts. Hey, I've just did this. There's no way this could have failed, or something failed, and hey, I've got proof that I did it. Okay.
And if we don't have receipts, then we don't have a leg to stand on. because we
Absolutely.
can't
Yeah, so
provide
we got to have receipts,
Yep.
because just putting it on there doesn't count. So just putting it on there is not proof enough. I guess it helps, but having the receipts
Have
really
the
backs
proof,
it up.
Yes.
Monthly maintenance reports, man, we have been talking about that since the day I've been here.
And
And y'all are missing the big thing that we used to talk about on monthly maintenance reports. Can't believe you haven't said this yet. When are they due?
When are they? 13th of every month.
The first week of
The first week of the month.
Yeah.
The end of the first pay period is what it says, but we lock them up come the 13th.
Mhm.
The actual paper says the first week, the end of the first pay period, I believe is what it says.
We've always been, got to be here the first of the month. And
Yes.
then the driver and the dispatcher plays this game until the 13th.
13th, yes.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, they just sent this in on this pay number. Can you hurry up and unlock them? I'm like, well, I'm on the phone right now. I'll get that. Just 1 second.
So unlock them. Tell the listeners what that means. They don't know what locking and unlocking means.
It means they can
Miles,
then.
do you know what locking and unlocking means?
It means they can then be dispatched. If you are locked up, you are not getting put on a load. It's going to hold you up.
we have a database with all the drivers and all their expiration dates for CDLs, physicals, TWIC cards, whatever it may be, monthly maintenance reports. And if that expiration date comes due and they do not have that document turned in, we lock them up. That means they get shut down. They can't be dispatched. Now, drivers, pay close attention to this. Your dispatchers know that these dates are coming up, and they can help you remember that.
How do they know?
It's in TMW, in that database. So they have all that information on all their drivers, so that dispatcher, and, they can say, hey, so-and-so, your physical's coming up in a couple of weeks. Have you gotten it?
And the dirt list.
Mm-hmm.
And the dirt
Yeah.
list,
Yes.
Yeah, that's which is what I was getting at. Ashley, is the dirt list. I mean, that's been in front of them for years and years. But you're right, Vivian. That the driver has a tendency to think it's the safety department's fault,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
And we have 800, 900 drivers
Yes.
that we're keeping up with. And technically, our job is not to say this is due, it's to process it when we get that document. It's the driver's responsibility to take care of his stuff. Nobody tells me when my CDL's due or my driver's license,
yeah.
And then it's the dispatcher's job to help them keep up with it.
Yeah. Driver's first responsibility. Make sure all your stuff is up to date and not about to expire. Then we actually have a report that helps dispatch to say, hey, here's your guys, and it's coming up. Just a reminder.
Right.
And then it gets to it, and then we do the old lock them up. Man.
Mm-hmm.
And we get it. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been around a long time, and drivers used to drive. That was their job. And now it's
So much more.
bookkeeping. I mean, they have so many documents and that they have to keep up with. So we're here to help. If we see, we call them, we look at everything. We try to look at everything and say, hey, you got this coming up. We're talking to you about your e-logs, but hey, your TWIC card's going to expire. So,
Right.
so
What about the Hazmat and TWIC? Get specific on that, on what gives y'all, you have issues with that? What's the deal with the Hazmat and the TWIC?
Ashley.
So, the dates don't always fall, at the same time. Your TWIC may expire before your Hazmat, vice versa. But if you go to reapply or get your fingerprints or whatnot for your Hazmat, for your TWIC, make sure you send us a receipt, because that'll help prevent you from being locked up. If we have a receipt showing that you have started the process of that, we can, not necessarily with the Hazmat, but with the TWIC, we can kind of help you, I guess, not get locked up for it. I guess I'm not
Yeah.
really explaining that right.
Well,
but
no, I think you are. I think the hazmat is different than the TWIC,
right.
and it is required. Let's just get that out here on the table. It is required for every Oakley owner-operator to have hazmat and a TWIC card. That's something I think they don't understand sometimes, because a lot of times they apply for the hazmat, which we're giving them the benefit of the doubt that if they pay the $86 or whatever it is, $89 to do the fingerprints, then they'll go ahead and complete it. But we're finding out that not necessarily happens.
No, so like for instance, for the TWIC card, I had one, I guess it was last week, that he had applied for it when he leased on the week of orientation, and here it is 6-8 weeks later, and he still didn't have it. So I got a hold of him, and I told him, I said, look, you need to call this phone number, figure out what the holdup is, because he should have had it per their standard business. It's usually 4 to 6, 8 weeks, something like that. And if you don't have it, you need to call and check on it. Come to find out, his birth certificate was not legible once it got to the main office to process everything.
So it was rejected.
It was rejected, so he will have to start the process all over again. So make sure that if you don't have your stuff within, their standard business timeline, call and check on it.
Yeah, if you don't have results back, I mean, and on the, the TWIC, I actually did this a couple of weeks ago. Is I had an owner-operator come in, and he was wanting to renew his TWIC. And I actually did it. I said, I don't really know, but let's just do this together. And I did it online right there at my desk, and, he paid for it, and it said it would be shipped to him, and it was simple. I was like, well, that was easy. I was thinking they had to go back to the, and to the location.
That's provided that they have a current background fingerprint.
Right.
That they can do that.
Yeah, they already have a TWIC. This is a renewing a TWIC.
Yes, but you can't renew it every time. You will have to go back in to get a fingerprint or a background check. You can't just do it online every time.
Oh, you
Right.
can't?
No. So the way I understand it is, like, if he already had a current one and he went into the office and got it the first time that way, the next time he can renew online, and it, it's simple and it's easy. Saves him a trip to the TWIC office, but next time he goes to renew, he'll have to go back in to the TWIC office. But those are good, TWICs, they're usually good for 5 years.
Right.
Depending on how long ago it's been since they've gotten their initial fingerprint and background check done.
Is the hazmat and TWIC, I mean, is that a major issue with the safety department are you constantly trying to get people to complete the process?
Yes.
Constantly?
Yes.
What do they tell you?
Well, I just haven't made it home yet. Well, you've got to make time to get home and take care of your stuff. We can only do so much to help you in that,
And if they communicate that to their dispatchers,
Yes.
their dispatchers can route them along
Route
the
them
way,
home,
so they're
yes.
just not deadheading back and forth. Can make it work for Oakley and the driver.
I think we just ought to blame the dispatchers since
I think so. Don't tell them though.
No.
they probably don't even listen to this thing. No, they do a good job.
We do, yeah. We have
they
some
do a
really
good
good
job.
ones, and we have some ones that we have to stay after,
Yeah.
just like the driver.
It's easy with
Hey,
all
also
that responsibility.
mention
It's
that
easy.
the driver portal,
Do
the
what now?
drivers can also get their expirations from the driver portal online.
They can.
Yes.
So Allison's telling us you can log into the driver portal, and a lot of you guys probably do that to check your settlements but all the expirations are in there. All your expirations of everything listed with Oakley is in there, so you keep up with that. We need to be sending them a geotab reminder or something. Do we? We don't do that, do we? We need
I
to
don't.
send them something like, if it's physical's coming up, then it needs to shoot them a reminder.
That
that
would
this
be
is
an IT thing where they can kind of automate that.
Yeah,
We
right.
actually, I think, had something like that in the past. Might have went to the dispatchers. I don't remember.
So it doesn't slip, I mean, if
Yeah.
there's anything we could do to, kind of like you get a notification on stuff, if you got one, hey, your physical's coming due in this month or whatever. I mean, Just something to help them maybe, but.
Yeah, maybe a MMR online, can you do that?
Yeah, that's in that is in big discussion right now.
Oh, that would be good, they just take their iPad, you know.
I talked to Patrick yesterday, matter of fact, and it wasn't looking good. Like,
Our IT guys are busy.
it's with the that's with the TransFlow people, I think.
Oh.
Is where they're running into issues. Oakley Trucking is a 100% owner-operator company. We specialize in hopper bottom, end dump, and pneumatic trailers. We provide the trailer free of charge, and you provide the truck. We have a large customer base that reaches the whole United States as well as parts of Canada. Our owner-operators live anywhere from Texas to North Carolina to Pennsylvania to Wisconsin and everywhere in between, and we get them home weekends. We take it seriously when you join Oakley Trucking because we need you to be successful. Oakley offers great benefits and competitive mileage pay, so you know that when your wheels are turning, you're generating money no matter if you're loaded or empty. We understand that you want to make a good living and that you make our living. We only take on independent contractors, and to be honest with you, we are very particular on who we lease on. You must have a good driving record, good work history, and clean, dependable truck. So if you're interested in Oakley Trucking or just want some more information, you can go to oakleytrucking.com, listen to our weekly podcast, The Oakley Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, good stuff, man. This is good with Vivian, Amanda, and Ashley with the safety department talking things going on in the safety department. I think it's good for our owner operators and listeners to see how this. I mean, y'all are not mean. I mean, you're not mean.
No, I mean, look at us. Listen to us.
There's no way.
But we can be if we need to be.
Sometimes you have to be, don't you? I bet our owner operators, I bet they're not mean to you either. What's a few other things we have here? I know Roger mentioned that we're auditing logs now that we didn't used to do. We always did? I
We've
thought he
always
did it
done
outside though. No, somebody else did it.
Yes.
And then now
Somebody
we're-
else gave us reports,
Yeah.
had the ability to
Third
put
party.
it all in a report. But we've always
Audited
checked,
logs.
fuel stops, loading and unloading times,
Verification.
hours of service,
Pre-trip, post-trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
pre-trip, post-trip, just everything
But
that
that's
they're
put a
supposed to
little
have.
more. That's put a little more work on load on you guys, on y'all, by doing that, getting rid of the third party instead of looking over the report. Now you're.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that
Roger.
process look? I mean, do all three of y'all do that, or does everybody do that?
Everybody does it.
Mhm.
Everybody does it.
Explain that a little bit. So I understand.
I'll just start and let y'all get into the details. Like we said, we just audit them if we find one thing wrong. We do have a couple of reports, hours of service. If we have a driver that has a 14-hour violation or something, before we call him, we'll check his logs to make sure he's attaching and detaching his shipments, loading, unloading, fuel times are correct, pre-trip, post-trip. What else? Anything, that they're putting notes in. Anytime you're on duty, there should be a note as to what you're doing on duty, if they're using PC right, everything. We just try to cover everything, so when we make that one call, it's one and done, and we're not all of us calling them at a different time for different little aspects of their logs. But we try to check everything to keep them legal.
And try to cover it all in one phone call instead of multiple.
Everything, yeah.
So y'all doing all 850? Y'all spreading
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Separating them out, and it just takes you how long to go through one person? You're looking at what? How long
Depends on
back
how
you
bad
looking
they
at?
are.
Yeah,
I mean,
it depends
it's-
on how their log looks, honestly, if how many things we might see that is wrong, and
Are you looking at a week's log?
roughly, me personally, I go back about 2 weeks.
Yeah, because that's
Just
what I'm doing
to-
with the fuel report, is I go back to the very first time they got that fuel all the way to present day.
Okay.
And if they do have a violation on there, then we're going to look really hard as to what's going on.
So then it takes you, what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes,
I
15
wish it was
minutes?
just 5 minutes.
Yeah, it depends. Like I said, if they're doing
Each one.
what they're supposed to, you can see that, and you can just go on down. There are some
Okay.
things we have to check a little bit closer, but the bottom line is you need to be logging if
What
you're
are-
doing it.
What are some of the most common mistakes you see that y'all run into?
Not verifying logs.
Yeah.
Make sure those are verified every day. Make it part of your pre-trip to verify your logs. Drivers can get cited for having one day unverified. That's something that takes you 10 seconds to do, maybe not even that long. Do it as part of your pre-trip. You only have 14 days on this logging system to verify. If your truck's in the shop, log in once a week, keep them verified, just to keep it caught up. They have to be verified. That's a DOT requirement.
And they wanted the 15 minutes for the pre-trip and around 2 minutes for post-trip asset inspection.
Fuel stops. You log the whole time you're on the fuel island. You pull up, you drive, you stop, you go on duty. You may have to wait a few minutes to get to the pump, and then you may pull forward and run into the truck stop to get your receipt, and it takes you 4 or 5 minutes. That 4 or 5 minutes still has to be on duty. You don't go off duty or into the sleeper. You can't be in the sleeper berth and in the truck stop getting your receipt at the same time. So when it says
Good
sleeper
point.
berth, you're in physically the sleeper berth. You're not, eating.
But I don't have to be asleep.
Yeah, you don't have to be asleep, but you got to be in that. Your body has to be in that sleeper berth if you log it that way. And I know minutes matter sometimes, but possibly if you're shaving minutes off to get it that close, maybe you shouldn't be.
In a rush.
Maybe you're just. But I don't know anything about dispatching, but yeah, the whole time you're fueling needs to be on duty. If you go into the store after and eat or shower, whatever, and that's fine. That's off duty, but that's a big thing.
How does it feel to look at some that are perfect?
Nice.
Fantastic.
Do we have a lot of that?
We have a lot that everything looks good. There's some drivers that I look at their log, man, I wish more
That they all could look like
look
that.
like this,
Yeah.
or their
Yeah.
paperwork. It's all nice and neat, and we can read it and everything like that. But it's a great feeling knowing that they took the time to make their stuff correct, and it looks good. It looks right.
But it makes it easier on us, too.
It does. Mm-hmm.
That they take pride in what they do.
You can tell that by looking at
Yes.
logs, paperwork.
And thank you for that.
the
Yes,
whole-
and absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Well, the majority of our owner-operators, I think, do it right. They take care of their business and do things right, and they want to. It's important to them. And that's why you can't let, just a group of people that don't do it right, you don't want one bad apple making a whole bunch bad, because that's not the truth.
You took the
It's-
words right out of my mouth.
It's the majority of the people here, we have some fantastic owner-operators, and I'm telling you, on the recruiting end of it, it is hard to find these people. These good
bet.
owner-operators is a challenge, so we've been very blessed to have good owner-operators at this company and continue to do so. But I think, like we said before we was going to do this episode, we didn't feel like we were beating up on anybody to do things right. I think it's an eye-opener for our owner-operators to see what goes in the safety department, what happens, and what people are responsible for, and how good a job you guys do, and how good a job they do. I mean, it's just
Most of them do.
most of it is just taking care of your business.
And
you know?
even when we call them, most of them are receptive. They're, oh, I'm sorry, I'll start doing that. There's very rare I think, generally, that we get really hateful responses.
Right. I wouldn't think so.
Yeah,
Bad day, maybe.
yeah,
But,
so.
but also too, this safety department is small, and we have a lot of drivers between, the 8 of us out there.
A lot.
That's a lot.
That's why I was saying, I don't know how y'all do it, all of them, but I guess it helps when they're all right.
Yeah,
'Cause
and
the
we
one-
don't sit down driver by driver. We try to just start with a violation.
I got you.
And then
Dig a
drill
little
down
deeper.
in.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a lot of spot checking. We do have a few reports, but we catch a lot of it, and some of it we don't, but we will eventually.
Sure.
Eventually it'll come out, and
Some of them can be crafty.
they definitely.
And there are some that don't even realize that they're doing anything,
Yeah.
Wrong or
Like
or
what?
like maybe a violation, a 14-hour violation. They may not realize that if they are using that sleeper berth rule, that they may have forgotten to go into the sleeper berth. They went off duty, and they didn't realize that that they caused themselves that violation.
That's more of an easier fix.
It's
Some of them just say, "Okay, you caught me. I'll start doing it right."
Yeah. Or they might accidentally hit your move instead of PC, or vice versa.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, if they keep driving 5 miles an hour around this parking lot out here, I'm about to have a fit. I mean, I'm like, you gotta say, but I'm not in their shoes. I guess they got to creep around for
Right.
5 minutes or something. You can do that or something, okay, so they don't start their clock. I get it. I'm just kidding, guys. I'll get out of your way. Anything else y'all'd like to cover? I believe we've done a great job. Y'all have done a great job.
I would actually, back to, I meant to bring this up while we were going over the
Sure.
CDLs and stuff like that. If you get a duplicate CDL or a new CDL, get it sent to us, because it's going to show up on your MVR whenever Vivian runs it. So if you get one, go ahead and send it. If it's a card, send it to your dispatcher. If it's a paper temporary, send it to us through TransFlow.
And it wouldn't hurt to just give us a call at safety and say, "Hey, I'm texting this to my dispatcher," because I get it. The dispatchers have a lot going on too, and they forget to send it to us, and then we don't realize we don't have it, and we have to call them back. So that doesn't hurt to just give us a call and say, "Hey, I'm sending this to my dispatcher. Can you make sure you get it?"
Yeah, because we got to have a current
Right.
CDL on file.
Hazmat, TWIC, temporary CDL, send all that to us. Yeah, because we
Are
do
there
have to.
temporaries still? Does
Yeah.
Texas still do a temporary CDL?
Texas.
They do like 3, I think.
Yeah, and they usually all end up on a card, but there are still a lot of states that do the paper temporaries. Those are okay to send to us through TransFlow, but if it's an actual card, your TWIC card, your CDL, the plastic card, please don't send that to us through TransFlow. We're not going to be able to read it. Text it to your dispatcher, front and back, clear copy. Anytime you get a new one, so that we have the most current copy of it.
And
Yeah,
don't
I mean-
forget to send in your DOT inspections, any citations, even if
Roadside
it's in your
inspections,
personal
yes.
vehicle, we need a copy of it.
Oh, really?
So just send it, I guess, TransFlow it
TransFlow it.
in.
Mhm.
And not your personal vehicle, but if it's in your CMV, it needs to be logged on duty.
I know this is chasing another rabbit, but you say send it in, which is real easy, but do they need to send it in under certain?
Safety miscellaneous would be,
miscellaneous.
Always use a valid pay number.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or we don't get it.
which can be your last
Oh,
pay
you
number
gotta
you
use
use.
a pay number. Anything
Yeah.
you scan in's got to have a pay number.
Your last completed
Completed.
pay number. If it's one you're currently on, it could error out. We could never get it. But yes, don't use all zeros. Don't use your direct number. Don't use 1 through 5, 6.
But
use
if
a
they
valid
can't
pay number.
even, don't have that with them, they can call and ask us, and we can
We
give
can
them
give
one.
it to them. Yes.
Okay. Is that one of the biggest things y'all get probably is, hey, I sent it, but y'all didn't get it?
Right.
Mhm.
And you think that's because of the pay number?
Yeah.
Majority of the time, that's it?
And they'll
But it-
tell us that, we'll ask them what pay number they use. Well, I didn't use one. Well, let me give you your last completed pay number and resend it so we can get it.
Good little tidbit there.
It's also not instant. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to get to us as
Yeah.
well. So if you're on the phone with me and say, I just resent it, I'm not going to have it right then. It's going to take a few minutes to get to us. So,
Good little tidbit of info right there.
And make sure not to darken any of those documents, because then we're gonna have to have you resend them, because we can't read them.
Oh, they
Yeah.
darken them on their
Mhm.
phone to see them, thinking they're doing better probably.
Right.
There's only certain documents that need to be darkened, and that's gonna be the ones that are tinted, colored, like the yellow ones and the pink ones.
Like the
You-
carbon copies,
if-
they need to make sure that they don't darken their paperwork. The only time you need to darken anything So if it's like a carbon copy and it's on a colored sheet, that's the only time that you're going to need to darken that document.
Okay.
Because I got some that I can't read, and I'm waiting for them to send their maintenance reports back in to where they're not so dark, because I can't even make out a truck number.
Good stuff. Okay. I think we covered a lot in that episode. I mean, I feel like we covered everything on our list, don't y'all?
Do I need anything on incidents? Are we good?
Okay. Incidents, we might as well cover it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are really fun.
Well,
I'm the lady that gets to take your
I
money.
think that trailer
let's have some more fun.
I think
The
that
trailer
inspection
inspection
sheet is
sheet-
a good tidbit, because
Yeah.
people don't fill those out like they used to.
No,
Yeah.
they shouldn't, and I'm going to tell you time and time again, if you don't send those in and it comes up that trailer is damaged, I mean, those payments can even be split. I can still charge one driver and charge another one.
So it's, I mean, which we touched on, critical on,
Yeah.
that's what you mean with incidents,
Mm-hmm.
the trailer damage.
Yeah, because I'll go and look and see the last time when we've had a trailer inspection sheet turned in on those. The majority of them, none of them are updated.
Yeah, we need more of that. I don't think people fill that out like they used to. I mean, that's, in the shop, I know they get in there and fix something or something's wrong, and they send the bill to the dispatcher or you, and you find out.
They'll send the pictures to shop pics. I make sure there's the incident that's created. If there's already one created, then I attach those shop pictures to it. Make sure it has the right driver on there, dispatcher, and the trailer number. And then I wait for the work order from the shop. If the dispatcher doesn't let me know who to bill, probably within the first week, I will go talk to the dispatcher, because they need to get out, and they need to get out quick.
Yeah.
But we do not email invoices to the drivers or see how much it's actually going to cost them. So if they ever have any questions, they need to contact dispatch, or they can call me, and I can even email one to them if they should need a paper copy.
Good. Y'all please do that. Listen to that, what Amanda's telling you. I mean, good Lord, she's got to go over to her boyfriend's and do her laundry on the weekend.
Amanda needs some money.
She don't need to have to worry about these trailer
Well, I do
inspections.
more than just do laundry every
I'm just kidding.
weekend. I
I'm
got
just
better
kidding.
hobbies than that, too.
I'm just kidding. Thank y'all for joining me on this episode. I really appreciate the info. I think it's a little bit of change in the pace of what we normally do in here, so I think it's good information. And once again, it's always targeted to our owner operators and to make it better, make them better, more successful, us better as a company. So all good. Thank y'all for doing that.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate
you.
everybody listening to the Oakley Podcast. You guys are awesome every week, and really enjoy it. Be sure to subscribe, comment, let us know what you want to hear on this. Me and Miles can put it together, can't we, Miles? It's always good to know that we've got a bunch of listeners, and you guys are responding every week, and we really do appreciate it. Share it with other people. That helps a whole lot. And let us know what you think. We appreciate you listening to Oakley Podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks.